I'm going to try to talk while we figure this out. So we've been working on our own Strandberg pickups for years with Michael Frank, and it's been Ed, who runs our US operations, that has been really the driver in this design process. He has a massive experience in guitars. He's worked at, had his own business, Tone Merchants, outside of LA. He's worked at Fender Guitar Center, worked at Sur Guitars for many years. I'm just really excited to have worked with him for many years now. And we have an opportunity now to hear from him what the requirements process was for getting these things developed. We have Keven on hand, who probably has the most experience of any player of these pickups. He recorded all of our demo videos. And we also have Michael Frank himself, who designed the pickups. So Ed, say something to make sure we actually have audio from you.
Hello, testing.
Oh yeah, when?
Everything okay?
I think it could be a little bit louder.
Okay. All right, how about now?
Yeah, good stuff.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just put you center stage and take it away.
All right, sounds good. Hi, this is Ed Yoon at Strandberg Guitars USA. I've been running this operation for about 5 years now. And my experience with Strandberg was maybe a year or two before that, when I first met Ola in 2013 at the NAMM show, when I just became intrigued by the guitar and just wanted to own one. And then time went by and just developed into a very mutually beneficial business relationship. And from the very beginning, I was always fascinated by the Strandberg design and how it looks and plays and feels. But what really struck me about Strandberg guitars was the sound quality. It really didn't sound like any other guitar that I've heard. And I'm strictly talking about it from an acoustic, unplugged perspective. Because I've owned many guitars, Fender style guitars, set neck guitars like Gibsons and PRS. I've owned a lot of super strat kinds of guitars, worked at Sur for many years and loved the Sur guitars. So had a lot of experience with different guitars, and it was Strandberg's unique sonic, acoustic, natural character that really got my interest, besides the look and the ergonomic features. So even from the very beginning, I was always interested in how to convey that acoustic character in the purest, most natural way possible to the amplifiers. There are a lot of great pickups out there, and with the OS line, we started with the Seymour Duncans and Lace pickups, and then I had my relationship with Sur Guitars and John Sur, and I've always loved Sur pickups, so I suggested we use Sur pickups on the new models like the original and Prague and Fusion back in 2017. In the meantime, I was still very interested in designing and developing our own pickups that will really bring out the character of what Strandberg guitars sound like acoustically. And that really does matter, because I think a lot of guitar players out there tend to think that woods and the acoustic character of electric guitar are not that important, and that it's the pickups that generate all the sound. It is true in that without pickups, converting the acoustic sound to electrical signal to send to the amplifier, an electric guitar without pickups is kind of useless. But it's still an acoustic instrument that gets amplified. And the pickups are like microphones, and their design really is supposed to be about conveying what the electric guitar is producing acoustically. So with that in mind, instead of just using off-the-shelf pickups, which are great pickups, don't get me wrong that we think these are so much superior or anything like that. Our goal was to really design and develop pickups that are best suited, that we think are best suited for guitars. And we had an opportunity where we were developing our own custom shop guitars, the USA Select several years ago. And that allowed us to hook up with Michael Frank, who's a longtime designer and sort of electronics guru at Fender for many years. And he's designed pickups for some of the mainstay models, as well as signature pickups for Guthrie Govan and Eric Johnson, amongst many others. So that really lit an idea in my head that we should work with Michael to develop our own line of pickups. And it's been a long process. We started with basically one model, which is really now the Prague. And it's a very even and very balanced, very clear, with a medium hot output, but it wasn't a traditional kind of a pickups. And so after we developed the Prague, which we eventually became very happy with, we started looking at other variations to fit our existing guitar models, like the original, like the Fusion and Metal, and even the Classic, which would be more like the vintage PAF style. So developing all these different pickup models took time because it really requires a lot of fine tuning. Michael would bring over some prototypes and we would test. And we would say, oh, this is really good, but let's tweak this a little bit. Let's boost the low mids or reduce the bass or boost the treble and things like that. And then we also had to really get real world artist feedback. And what I mean by real world is not testing in a sound room or demo room or in the office, but for artists to take the pickups out on the road, play out live during tours, and deal with all the different room and venue situations and sound systems, and also for them to use in live recording, home recording or studio recording situations. So that took quite a bit of time, and we had many artists involved in the development of these pickups, and that includes Pliny, Alex Makashek, Paul Masvidal, who else? Yeah, Alan Marcus, who was very instrumental in terms of voicing the metal pickups, Mike Keneally, and of course, Keven Eknes, who had the most experience and time with the pickups, with all the models. And a little later, we'll have Kevin take the seat and explain and sort of corroborate in terms of what he experienced with the pickups and during recording of all the video demos that he's recorded for us of all these different pickup models and different guitars. So that took quite a long time, much longer than I thought it would take. You know, it seems like it's been almost 3 years since we started this project. And we had to get them perfect in terms of that each pickup model represented what we wanted them to sound like in each of the guitar models. And as Peter mentioned earlier, even though each pickup model is voiced a certain way, they are very versatile, whether that's for metal, high gain, or for more medium gain, like fusion type of sounds, or even classic rock types of sounds. So they're very dynamic, very responsive to your pick attack and your touch, as well as your volume pot manipulations in terms of using your volume pot to get the right amount of gain and control your dynamics. So those are the kind of things that Michael really focused on from a player's perspective, and providing the responsiveness that experienced players can really feel and hear. And I think feel is important. It's not just the sound, how the pickups react to your pick attack and your touch. Even the way you sustain your notes with your left hand on the fingerboard are very meticulously, I'd say, and very clearly, articulately transferred and conveyed to the amplifier. So generally speaking, in a nutshell, that's how the whole development process unfolded over the past 3 years. And now they're finally ready to be released. And we did have certain models like Prague probably finished almost 2 years ago. But then, you know, we decided to develop more variations, and that took a while. And it was especially time consuming in terms of getting the artist feedback. And we thought that was very important. We wanted to get the artist feedback after they've spent a good amount of time with the pickups in their guitars in live situations as well as for recording. And once we got that feedback from the artists and they were satisfied, we knew, okay, we can proceed now. And we're now ready, and we have started production. So, you know, as you can see, we have the new original neck through model here, the Prague neck through with the Prague pickups, the Fusion with the Fusion pickups, and the metal model with the metal pickups. So the pickups have been in production for about 3-4 months now, because we have to produce and send to the factory for production like 4 or 5 months in advance. And now we have the guitars here and they're ready to ship along with the pickups. So we're very excited to present these pickups. I feel that it's a new step sort of to the next level of where we're going to take our guitars in the future. And I guess that kind of wraps up what I have to say. And I'd like to bring up Michael Frank, the designer and the engineer and the producer of these pickups, because these pickups are made at Michael's own home, garage operation, basically, but a very sophisticated and well laid out operation. Michael has this amazing amount of knowledge about guitar electronics and pickup technology. Honestly, a lot of the things he talks about just flies right over my head. You know, I'm not an engineer, and you know, a lot of the engineering speak I have a hard time with. You know, I'm just more interested in sound and what the results are of the sound coming out of the amplifiers. But we worked together, and it was very fun to work with Michael during these over these years to get these pickups ready. And I think he has a lot of, maybe not a lot, but some interesting things to talk about. So without further ado, I'll introduce Michael. Michael.
Thank you, Ed. Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Frank, and I worked very close with Ed and Ola together to develop these pickups, especially for their instruments. Went here, I believe, 2 years ago, and with an open mind, because honestly, I didn't even know Strandberg instruments, and played them and realized they sound acoustically very different to my instruments, which are like a Gibson Les Paul, Fender Stratocaster, and so on. And so, yes, when we started, my perfect pickup was a 58 Gibson PAF, which is a real nice, beautiful pickup. But I wanted to give that pickup more headroom, more harmonics, more dynamic. So I listened to the instruments, and we started with the progressive, and just realized this instrument is reacting different as any guitar out there, obviously of the headless design, the fanned frets, the neck design, the tremolo, everything. Also for me, it was a beauty. Since Leo Fender, I would say I had for the first time a new instrument in my hand, which sounded really beautiful. So I took all my effort in it, and with Ed, which is a great guitar player himself, you know, he was tough on me. He listened to some stuff, and then he wanted change, and so we did. And we went it from the progressive to the original, I believe, and then we made the fusion, and then at the end we made the metal pickups. It sounds like these pickups are more for certain music styles, but you could almost play any music style with it, because it just brings out the beauty of the instrument. I want that the pickup is an open sound and just brings out what the guitar does. And it's amazing how great these magnetic pickups respond to your left hand, to your picking, where you are. If you close here, if you're in the middle, if you're in the bridge, it is just a beauty of what magnetic pickups actually can do to the instrument. And for that reason, we just perfected what Strandberg guitars already deliver and how they sound acoustically. And I just had to go and develop the right pickups for it. And Ed was extremely helpful. Always a productive, input from him. And I believe we made it. These pickups sounded in the way they wanted it, Ola wanted it. And here we are. We have some, as you can see behind me, some 5 new pickup types.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
Okay.
And just one question. What did you find to be a challenge in terms of developing these pickups specifically for guitars compared to, say, Les Paul or a Stratocaster or Super Strat kind of guitars?
Now that's a good question. The difference is that in the mid-range, the Strandberg sounds quite different because of the headless design. It's a hollow body, so there's a complete different musicality, if you want to say it like that, coming out of that guitar. And the mid-range is the most important part for where the guitar cuts through in a live environment, in a studio environment. And obviously my thought was I wanted in the neck pickup, you go to the low register, there should be clarity in the note. You want to have the bottom end, but it shouldn't be muddy. If you go up to the higher register, there should be a nice sparkle, but not a harshness. So that was the challenge, which sounds easy, but it's a challenge to get that balanced.
Yes, and as far as like the different pickup models, and I know that many of yours will have questions about this in terms of, well, we have the original, we have the Prague, we have the Fusion, we have the metal, and we have the classic. So if these pickups are all so much developed for certain styles or certain genres, they would ask, how can they be so versatile? You know, and how each pickup model is also very versatile to cover all these different styles. Then you don't need so many different pickup models. But in your view, how do you view these different pickup models and what each one's character or characteristics are like?
Yes, of course, because the instruments you gave me to develop these pickups for sounded different. They had different wood combinations, different fretboard. And yes, normally a heavy metal guy wants more gain. But my approach is always like clean gain, not like a mid-range gain, because this gives you more option with the foot pedals, with your amplifier. It's easy to add a gain here, again here, but I like that the pickups are open. They have more gain, no doubt about it. That's why the metal is different to the original or the classic, which would be the two extremes.
Yeah.
And yes, the Fusion have a different mid-range characteristic. Would please somebody, you know, like Alan Holdsworth to say, or Alex. And has to have a lot of definition for the complex chord playing. You know, so you hear each note. That was the challenge. You have a lot of mid-range, but definition in the note. So we're going to the progressive. That was something like, yes, like a vintage approach, but with more gain. But again, clean gain, not mid-range gain. Gain over the whole spectrum of the pickup.
Yeah. Okay, I think that sort of covers it, and really appreciate your input and you sharing your thoughts with our fans and customers. So here we'll move on to Keven Eknes.
Can I ask,
be the best part.
Michael, can I ask one question that I also think people will ask?
Yes, please.
We came to you with a lot of like user requirements and basically what we wanted, but all the like actual design aspects and how the pickups are built, we left to you and your judgment because you have that deep knowledge. And we ended up with one thing that people have reacted to here is that we don't use an F-spaced humbucker in the bridge.
Okay.
So I wonder if you could just describe the thought process behind that.
Okay, that's an extremely good question. The spacing of the pole pieces, center to center, is obviously important. My one is a little wider as the traditional Gibson, which is 1.930. My one is 1.950. The design of my pickups, because they are not based on a plastic bobbin design, they're internally very different. They have on the E1, the E6, a wider magnetic field. So it was really not necessary because the longer you make a bobbin, it changes the sound for the good or for the better. It's up to the musicians. And I would say the longer you make it, you're creating more harshness because you're changing the inductance, something you really do not need at the bridge pickup position. So we made a kind of a in-between, which works. Yes, our strings are just at the edge, but keep in mind, the magnetic field is much larger as what you see at the screw. And not one of the, I would have changed it with no problems if one of the professional players would have told us, oh my goodness, your E1, your E6 doesn't have the gain. But I did not hear anything in that reaction. So it was better to keep the standard spacing, which is good for the whole overall sound of a humbucker. And in any position, keep in mind, a Gibson Les Paul was always bridge and neck, the same pickups, just turned around. And I think from Jimmy Page to other players, we did not heard any complaint that their E1, E6 string was not loud enough. So it is just maybe people, when the Floyd Rose tremolo came out, yes, it had a wider spacing and needed, as the original Fender Stratocaster spacing, which is quite wide. Yeah, you probably need, and that's why Leo Fender had to tilt the single coil, because when he wanted to make all three in one row, he realized the last one, the bridge pickup is not touching, is not under the strings. So there was necessities to do certain things, but with any kind of spacing we have on a Strandberg or in any kind of modern thing, it was not a necessity anymore to go to a larger bridge spacing, which would change the sound, and I would say not for the better. Did I answer your question, or it was?
No, perfect. Thank you, Michael.
Okay. Probably more information as, but that's how I am. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
Oh, you're welcome.
And we'll now have Keven.
Yeah, no, we have to write that. The guy who can play.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm just gonna talk from the player's perspective on some of these models. The first one here, the original. To me, it sounds very versatile, and it sounds very between the different positions that you have, like with the switch, like how it's does the Strandberg switching system and how that works. It's very the kind of range of tones is pretty wide, and say the individual humbuckers by themselves to me sound very, very full, while like the split coils is kind of there's a very drastic change there as you go to those kind of positions, and it's kind of, it would be like the kind of to go to pick up, like if I were to like play a bunch of different styles, say at like a variety show or something like that, where where it just requires a lot of just different variations, and the taper of the volume seems to be very responsive on this particular pickup model. They feel great to play, but they're not as kind of easy to play, say as the prog. It seems to give like a little bit, and you have to work a little bit harder, which you may prefer or you may not prefer. But I can talk about that over there. But these to me seems to have like a very nice, there's a nice bloom into the tone, and it's kind of I would call it kind of. I know the prog is like the one they started with first, but to me, like this one sounds very kind of neutral, and it's almost like a blank canvas that you can paint with, and you can kind of go in any direction with it without really kind of having like any weak spots. In my opinion, it's good for like pretty much everything, I'd say. But do we have a clean sound there? So this is just a kind of it's a Fender modeling amp, but as you can hear, tapers real nice. Which is what I really appreciate in the design of the original model. And as you hear, kind of spanky in the in between positions. The note clarity is kind of incredible, I would say, really. Toward the vein of a telly thing, but it's more, it feels much more full here. A bit more highs. Yeah, but yeah, the kind of versatility in the switching system and how they've designed, it's not a traditional kind of five-way with a double humbucker sort of thing where you kind of get like the outer coils and both of them and where it's split. This is kind of more versatile, I'd say, because it's even more, to me, almost a bit more reminiscent of like say a five-way like on a Strat, some kind of a thing. What's also really nice about these pickups in particular is if you go to like a more of a crunch sort of sound, you could really tell something about the bloom. And I know you can only get so much info from me demonstrating it, but what it feels like as a player is that you kind of get that thing that I was talking about where it doesn't feel as kind of easy to play. It doesn't feel like almost as fast as say the prog, but it kind of has its own story to tell sort of thing, and it inspires you to play differently from there. And I really appreciate that kind of thing that you get from them. Then again, like the split coil. What's cool about the original set is it sounds good on kind of all sorts of tones. So this is kind of a flexi model. It feels very controlled as I'm playing, if that makes any sense. But also, as Michael was explaining earlier, that these pickups kind of enhance a lot of the tonal qualities into from the guitar, and it's very, those kind of qualities are also being translated when you use like higher gain more than a lot of other pickups out there. So say if the kind of change between just full humbucker here to one of the split positions, like you're gonna hear even more kind of those split things that you would want to hear, basically. Another cool thing about these pickups that's worth mentioning is that just the dynamic range is can literally clean up with just your fingers too. So super dynamic. Love this set. Kind of they can also do like heavier tones. Let's see. Oh, we got an issue here. This patch isn't working. I don't know what happened to it. But okay, let's move on with the prog. So what I like about the prog is there's a lot of harmonics going on here, a lot of harmonic overtones as a player. It's also very easy to play. It kind of seems like it compresses a bit more than the original, but it doesn't like destroy the tone. Like there's still that kind of air, which is kind of unique, I think, and special about the prog series. As you can hear, it's almost a bit like, has a bit more depth. It also has, I think that this is my favorite like split coil positions. The 2 and 4 positions of the prog set is my favorite of all the split positions because of the kind of spank that it gives. So it's that kind of compression that I was talking about just makes it so kind of effortless to play, and it's effortless, but it's not on the cost of kind of killing some of the dimensions in your tone. Like as you can hear. You can hear that kind of highs if that translates through the recording system now. You can hear it, especially in the G string. It's kind of magical, I'd say. So it's a super cool set. It gets kind of there's much more output in this set. So beautiful pickup, love it. Now the Fusion set has something else that's very special going on for it. One of the things that's on this particular guitar is the Hsx switching system. It's literally probably the coolest kind of coil split emulating kind of a thing that I've heard, because it's so much more reminiscent of an actual single coil than when you just shunt out one of the sides of the humbucker. But what's special about this, in my opinion, is the kind of added dimension and harmonic overtones that you get from just the notes in general, and that could be the design of the double screw kind of a thing. But there just seems to be more info above the actual note that you play. So as you can hear, even on more kind of advanced kind of, say, like the cluster chords, or every note is kind of more there in a way, and it just separates in a very cool way. The way I would kind of see it is that there's just like an added dimension that I think a lot of like fusion players would appreciate, and I think that's where the name comes from. If we put on some crunch, you can hear some of the kind of overtones that I'm talking about. It's kind of amazing what it does for kind of legato playing with that added stuff. Like it's like your legato lines is not going to sound dull. So if you're mainly like a legato player, I think you would really appreciate this set. It's just. As you can hear, like it's very unique with just those added harmonic overtones. The note separation is kind of unique, especially when it comes to chords, and there it just seems to be like more info. Going back on some of those kind of split sort of sounds, you obviously had to have it becomes basically like 10 different tones that you have on just the arsenal of your switching system. Very cool pickup. Super versatile. Then again, where I think that this really shines is that those kind of added harmonic overtones. If that's something that you value, it's just very, very unique. And I don't. Is that why? Because of the double screws, or like what's?
Has something to do with it, obviously, and choice of magnet wire magnets is different on the Fusion.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very, very rich and smooth in the mids,
But
especially.
with definition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's-
That's very smooth
Yeah.
set of pickups. The metal set is very cool. It feels very tight and very kind of, especially for I would kind of want like any of my kind of layering guitars in this because it just sounds so tight and so kind of it's a very precise pickup, I would say. But at the same time, it like you can tell that it has a lot of those metal qualities, but at the same time, as opposed to a lot of the other kind of metal pickups out there, there just seems to be a lot more air in the tone, and it just seems more kind of alive. It doesn't seem like that kind of overly compressed. And unfortunately, we lost the kind of genty kind of sound here. I don't know why there's no sound on it, but the plexi one. As you can hear, it's just a super tight sounding pickup, and especially for kind of rhythm playing, layering guitars, all that sort of stuff, it's kind of invaluable. It's such a good tool. But also, what I think they did is it's not like the kind of traditional where like good for like its high output and once it's good for kind of heavier tones, it doesn't sound that good on clean tones. So as you can see, so beautiful on the cleans, and as you can probably hear here, it compresses a bit more because it's a very high output pickup. But then again, it's high output, but there's still a lot more air into it. So the last pickup is the classic, which is super cool. This one has the most beautiful bloom out of all of them, I'd say. If that's what you appreciate. Any kind of difference between like the original and the prog, like this, like playing wise, this kind of takes it one step further into kind of more of a traditional kind of feel. And as you're playing it, like it fights you a bit more than the prog, but that fight is kind of on the cost of like you get that rewarding like bloom. Like there seems to just be like some cool kind of stuff that gets added to the tone, and it captures a lot of those cool elements of, say, like a traditional, like Michael's favorite pickup, like the PAF. It captures some of those kind of bell-like highs, and it's extremely musical and almost goes into, don't get this wrong way, but like kind of one more step toward kind of the P90 or single coil kind of a thing. But it's still a humbucker, but it's so pretty, and it's not like it can't do like high gain. It still gets spanky, and it has all those like cool modern features, but the kind of core tone is a beautiful kind of a vintage tone. For the classic kind of name, I'd say. Do you want to go through the titanium, or?
I think going into the fusion, so can do just a little more of the classic.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Just when we're starting to really have fun. Kevin, I'm sorry, we've had some audio issues from you guys in Riverside, but I think we got the gist of it. And to all of you that were watching, I hope you at least got a sense of just the variety of all of these pickups, and I'm sure we will be able to arrange future follow-up sessions as well that can go in depth even more. And if you took part in the previous session on the showroom track, you will know also that we have the Tonepedia playground up on the website, so you can check out high definition recordings. Not as cool playing as Kevin's, of course, but it's at least it's there for reference and for comparison. We have a tight schedule with sessions back to back, so I'm going to have to thank the Riverside team, Ed, Michael, and Kevin, and Wes and Isaac behind the controls. And thank you also to everyone that's been watching. I guess stick around for the artist extravaganza, which begins in a few minutes. Signing off.
Hello.
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 Hey. How's
Hi.
everybody doing? Everybody hearing good?
I hear
Yeah.
things.